I want to say this is the best I've ever played. You know, I think I'm in a good moment, so I really hope to keep the momentum going, keep working.
Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. Sana patuloy yung
Teen tennis star Alex Eala stunned the world not just with her performance on the court, but with a gesture that transcended sports entirely. What was expected to be a routine exhibition match turned into a historic moment when the 19-year-old Filipino sensation defeated an Olympic silver medalist twice on a sun-drenched court in Melbourne, thrilling thousands of screaming fans and cementing her status as one of the most electrifying young talents in professional tennis. Yet the shock waves that rippled across continents had little to do with the scoreline. Standing breathless at center court, her eyes glistening with emotion, Alex announced a $300,000 donation, a heartfelt act of generosity that left spectators in tears and will be remembered long after the trophies gather dust and the scoreboards are reset. She announced that she would donate the entire $300,000 prize purse to organizations dedicated to caring for orphans around the world, giving it away without hesitation. When reporters, stunned by the decision, asked her why, she replied through tears that it was the easiest thing in my life. This was no publicity stunt or carefully crafted marketing move, nor was it damage control or image rehabilitation. It was pure, unfiltered compassion from a teenager who remained grounded even as the world began to fall at her feet. The reaction was explosive. Social media platforms overflowed with millions sharing her story. Hashtags celebrating her generosity trended worldwide for 3 consecutive days, and fellow tennis players from seasoned veterans to rookies hailed her as an inspiration. Fans organized fundraising campaigns in her honor. Media outlets from Manila to Madrid splashed the story across their front pages, and celebrities from outside the tennis world, including actors, musicians, and humanitarian organizations, praised her character. This was the kind of moment that defines legacies and turns athletes into icons, but what makes the story even more remarkable is that before she could donate that fortune, she had to earn it, and earn it she did by absolutely dominating on the court. She earned it by dismantling one of the most decorated players on the circuit in a performance so commanding that tennis analysts were left scrambling to recalibrate their predictions for the upcoming Australian Open. To understand the weight of that moment, one has to rewind to the battle that set the stage. The Kwong Classic in Melbourne, affectionately known as the spiritual home of Australian tennis. A tournament that has hosted legends, witnessed champions rise and fall, and served as the launchpad for careers and the cementing of legacies became, this year, the arena where Alex Eala announced her arrival not with words, but with a ruthless, calculated takedown of Croatian powerhouse Donovic. The final score read 6-3, 6-4, but those numbers barely hint at what unfolded. This was not merely a match, it was a statement. It was a teenager from Quezon City staring down an Olympic silver medalist, a world number 70 with 4 WTA singles titles, and declaring without a single word, "Your time is over. Mine has just begun." The Croatian star had spent more than a decade battling the very best players on the planet, earning a silver medal at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris and losing only to the elite on the grandest stage imaginable. She possessed a serve clocked at speeds that would make most opponents tremble and a forehand so lethal it could end points almost as soon as they began, and she had proven her versatility by winning tournaments on clay, grass, and hard courts, making her by every measure a complete and dangerous player. Yet for the second time in just 10 days, Donovic had absolutely no answer for the teenage sensation from the Philippines. This was their second meeting in less than 2 weeks, a detail whose significance cannot be overstated, because only days earlier, on January 6th at the WTA 125 ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand, Eala had defeated her in a grueling 3-set first-round thriller that went down to the wire. That win alone would have turned heads as a classic underdog story, but doing it again on a bigger stage with even more eyes watching was not luck, not a fluke, and not the result of catching an opponent on an off day. It was proof. This was domination, a message, a changing of the guard unfolding in real time before everyone's eyes. The first set at Kwong was an absolute clinic in modern, aggressive tennis. For years, critics had pigeonholed Alex Eala as a defensive player, a counterpuncher who relied on opponents' mistakes rather than forcing the issue herself, but those assessments were rendered obsolete in an instant. What unfolded on that court was Eala 2.0, a completely different animal. She stepped inside the baseline with the fearlessness of a seasoned champion, took the ball early, and redirected her opponent's power back with interest. Her left-handed forehand, that beautiful whipping motion honed at the Rafael Nadal Academy, painted the lines like an artist's brush. She broke Donovic's serve not once but twice in the opening set, each break punctuated by roars from the crowd that echoed blocks away. When the set ended 6-3 in Eala's favor, there was a palpable sense in the stadium that something special was unfolding. The second set, however, showcased exactly why Danovic has achieved everything she has in the sport. She is a fighter, proud and unyielding, and Olympians do not fade quietly into the night. Vake raised her level, hitting harder, serving bigger, and moving Eala around the court with precision and intent, and for a moment it seemed she might engineer a comeback to force a decisive third set. When the score reached 4 games all, the tension in the stadium was thick enough to cut with a knife. This was the moment where champions are forged or broken, where it would be revealed whether Alex Eala was ready for prime time or merely another talented youngster destined to wilt under pressure. She didn't wilt, she exploded. At 4-all, with Vake serving to stay in the match, Eala unleashed a backhand down the line that will live on in highlight reels for years, the ball screaming off a racket, kissing the line by millimeters, and leaving the crowd breathless. Vake stood frozen as the crowd erupted. Breakpoint, Eala. On the very next point, another backhand came, this time cross-court with an almost impossible angle and pace, sealing the break and putting Eala ahead 5-4 as she stepped up to serve for the match. One game away from cementing her status as a legitimate threat to anyone on tour, she showed no sign of nerves. If her hands shook or her legs felt heavy, it was impossible to tell. She served with the calm authority of someone who had closed out championship matches countless times before, and just 4 points later it was over. 6-3, 6-4, game, set, match. The teenager from the Philippines had done it again. Yet, as remarkable as the victory was, what followed would echo far beyond the court. When the microphone was handed to Alex Eala for the customary post-match interview, expectations were low. Thank the sponsors, praise the fans, acknowledge the opponent. Instead, she looked straight into the camera, took a deep breath, and announced that she would donate every single cent of her $300,000 prize money to charities that support orphans. The word children hung in the air, followed by a silence so deep it was almost deafening. Then the applause began, soft at first, before swelling into a thunderous ovation that felt as if it might never end. Grown men wiped tears from their eyes, and even hardened journalists struggled to keep their composure. This was not in the script, not normal, not expected. This was extraordinary. To understand the magnitude of the gesture, consider what $300,000 means to a young tennis player still establishing herself on the professional circuit. It pays for elite coaches, international travel across 6 continents, accommodations in some of the world's most expensive cities, physiotherapists to keep the body intact through relentless schedules, as well as nutritionists, mental coaches, hitting partners, and the entire support system that separates good players from great ones. For someone ranked in the top 50 but not yet among the elite top 10, that sum is not disposable income, it is infrastructure, investment, and security. And Alex gave it all away without hesitation. That decision revealed something profound about who she is when the cameras are off and the crowds have gone home, especially in an era when athletes are often, and sometimes fairly, criticized for being disconnected from everyday reality, where multimillionaire sports stars complain about private jet Wi-Fi while people struggle to feed their families. A 19-year-old tennis player stepped forward and made a choice that stunned the world. She could have easily pocketed the money, bought herself a new car, upgraded her team, and no one would have blamed her. Instead, she looked at that check and saw orphan children in need, kids without parents who deserved a chance at a better life. She recognized an opportunity to use her platform and success for genuine good, and she took it without hesitation. Social media erupted in the hours and days following her announcement. The phrase "heart of gold" trended on Twitter for 72 straight hours. Instagram was flooded with photos praising her generosity, and TikTok videos highlighting her donation racked up tens of millions of views. Even people who had never watched a tennis match were sharing her story, inspired by her selflessness at such a young age. Comment sections overflowed with admiration and support. "This is why we love her," wrote one fan from Manila. "A true champion on and off the court," said another from Australia. "The world needs more athletes like Alex Eala," commented someone from New York. The sentiment was universal and overwhelming. In a cynical world that often assumes the worst, Alex Eala gave everyone a reason to believe in the good. Fellow tennis players, including seasoned veterans rarely impressed by anything, joined in praising her gesture, some even sharing their own charitable efforts inspired by her example. Alex's act of generosity inspired countless others to do more, while some simply posted heart emojis and the Philippine flag, letting symbols speak for themselves. The WTA issued a statement calling her an inspiration and a role model, and former champions shared their admiration on television commentary. One Hall of Famer even saying that in 30 years of covering tennis, She had never seen anything like what Alex had just done. Praise extended far beyond the tennis world. Humanitarian organizations reached out to thank her both publicly and privately, and orphanages set to benefit from her donation shared videos of children whose lives would be transformed by her generosity. Celebrities from sports and entertainment also chimed in. A famous actor tweeted that Alex had restored his faith in the next generation. A musician wrote a song inspired by her kindness, and a best-selling author published an essay on how athletes can change the world if they use their platforms for good. The ripple effect of her decision was staggering, reaching corners of society tennis rarely touches. This moment takes on even more significance when considered in the context of where Alex comes from and what she represents. The Philippines, a nation of over 100 million people with a rich cultural heritage and a deep sense of community, now had a young champion whose actions reflected the best of her country and inspired people everywhere. The Philippines has always had a passionate love for sports, but tennis has historically not been the country's strong suit. Basketball dominates the cultural conversation, and boxing has produced legends like Manny Pacquiao who became global icons. Tennis, by contrast, was always something that happened elsewhere, something Filipinos watched from afar but rarely competed in at the highest levels. Alex Eala is changing that narrative entirely. She is not just a tennis player from the Philippines. She is a national hero, a symbol of what is possible when talent meets opportunity and unwavering determination. Depending on how deep she goes in Melbourne, which everyone is hoping will be as far as possible, there is growing excitement about her returning home for a historic homecoming. The inaugural Philippine Women's Open, scheduled for late January, represents a landmark moment for tennis in the country. The Philippine Tennis Association has already granted wildcard entry slots to Alex and her close friend, Indonesia's rising star Janice Jean, setting the stage for a scene that promises to inspire generations of young athletes. The moment promises to be unforgettable. Alex Eala, fresh off a top 50 breakthrough and possibly a deep run at the Australian Open, returning triumphantly to Manila to play in front of an adoring home crowd for the first time as a top 50 player. The atmosphere would be electric, unlike anything tennis in the Philippines has ever seen, a mix of a Beatles concert and a national holiday celebration. If she takes the court, it will instantly become the hottest sporting ticket in the country, a golden opportunity for young Filipino fans to witness their hero live, seeing the incredible speed of the ball, the precision of footwork, the intensity of movement, and the strategy behind every shot. It would be a victory lap for the ages and a spark of inspiration for the next generation. But Alex's story is also part of a much bigger picture. Her semi-final match against Wong Senu wasn't just another event on the schedule, it was a snapshot of the future of women's tennis. For decades, the sport was dominated almost entirely by American and European players. Now, Asian tennis is in the midst of a golden era. China's Qinwen Zhang has broken into the elite. Wong Senu is rising rapidly. Alex represents Southeast Asia on the world stage. And Indonesia's Janice Jean is climbing steadily. These women are bringing a distinctly different energy, style, and perspective to the sport, signaling a renaissance that could redefine tennis globally. These rising Asian stars are bringing new flavor and style to the WTA Tour. They combine incredible discipline from years of structured training, immense work ethic that sometimes outshines their Western counterparts, and distinct playing styles shaped by diverse coaching philosophies. Wong Senu overwhelms opponents with flat, penetrating power, while Alex Eala blends Spanish-influenced heavy topspin with a fierce fighting spirit honed at the Nadal Academy. This melting pot of styles is making the WTA more exciting, unpredictable, and globally representative than it has been in decades. Alex proudly leads the charge for Southeast Asia, carrying the flag not just for the Philippines, but for the entire ASEAN region, countries historically underrepresented in professional tennis. Every time she steps onto the court, she represents millions who have longed for a hero in the sport, someone from their region. That is an enormous weight for young shoulders, yet Alex wears it with grace, an infectious smile, gestures of respect, and loving shout-outs to her parents. She handles pressure with a maturity far beyond her years. In Auckland, though she did not win the tournament, Wong Senu claimed a victory in a thrilling 3-set battle. Alex's impact went far beyond the trophy. Wong Senu played like an absolute champion when it mattered most, but in the grand scheme, Alex Eala won something far more valuable than a trophy. She captured a moment that will be remembered long after the hardware is forgotten, winning over the crowd and hearts around the world. Most importantly, she secured crucial ranking points that will define the next phase of her professional career. Breaking into the top 50 is a symbolic graduation from promising prospect to established professional. Alex is no longer just an up-and-comer to watch. She has arrived, firmly establishing herself as one of the world's top 50 players, and that changes everything moving forward. The sting of the semi-final loss may linger for a few days, that's natural, but when she wakes up in Melbourne, sees her name proudly listed at number 49, that temporary disappointment will transform into burning hunger, the drive to climb to 40, 30, and eventually crack the top 10. Raised by Mike and Riza, she is a fighter who never gives up, and the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy has honed that relentless spirit into a polished, world-class weapon. The Rafa Nadal Academy has honed Alex's raw talent, transforming a rough diamond into something truly brilliant, and now the entire tennis world gets to watch her shine brighter with each match. Her spontaneous kiss cam moment became viral gold on social media, adorable and heartwarming, but it also serves as a reminder of the seriousness behind her rise. Alex Eala is climbing toward the very top of the tennis mountain, bringing her family, her nation, and the hopes of an entire region along with her. Fans everywhere are debating her journey. Was the kiss cam stunt the sweetest moment of the tennis season, or did her parents look a little embarrassed? More importantly, now that she is officially a top 50 player with legitimate credentials, how far can she go at the Australian Open? Could this finally be the year she breaks through to the second week of a Grand Slam? Her story is inspiring fans to share predictions, reactions, and support, fueling the excitement around her career. For those following her rise, the tennis community celebrates every triumph, feels every heartbreak, and lives and breathes the sport with passion. Alex Eala's journey is a testament to talent, hard work, and the power of dreams, and the world is watching as she continues to redefine what is possible.
I want to say this is the best I've ever played. I think I'm in a good moment, so I really hope to keep the momentum going, keep working hard, and hopefully
The fans, I think, didn't expect this today. But here are two